what's going on, guys? How you doing? Hope you guys having a good day, good night. Let's go ahead and get everything started. Pretty much, a lot of people have been asking about Node Wars, the new Node Wars season. Korea has had them for a couple weeks now, almost going on 4 weeks now, I think. And for whatever reason, we have a test server, but instead of using the test server, Pearl Abyss is using Korea as the test server, because the ongoing joke is just KR is the test server, which, I mean, to be honest, has a lot of truth to that. Anyways, let's just jump right into it. I'm gonna cover the basics of the Node War, then we're gonna go over the patch notes and make sure there's nothing I missed. And yeah, so this new Node War season is all about expanding your power or your reign or your control. So pretty much the way it works is you now can no longer just jump right into any node you want. There are only certain nodes that you can take based off of there's a few like requirements. One, in order to take a node, you have to have a connected node that's surrounding that area, that's connected to it. So pretty much if I want to take this node here, I have to have one of the nodes that are connected to it first. Now, the thing is, in order to start taking nodes, you must take a node that is considered a starting point. So if you look at all these nodes, there are certain nodes with like this little yellow upside down triangle. And all of those are considered the starting points. In every region, you have a few starting points. You have to start off there, and then you can start to, expand your control by taking nodes that are connected to it. If I start here at this top, these are the only two nodes that I can take afterwards. And if I start here, these are the only three nodes I can go to next. Which means, as you can tell, or as you could kind of consider, a lot of these nodes are no longer going to be a Zergfest necessarily, except for the starting points. The starting points, there's no limit to how many players can be, how many guilds can be on that node, right? But past that, once you have a node that's not a starting node, then you pretty much will know about how many guilds have it, might show up for your node, right? Like if I own this node here, it's not a starting point, which means a guild has to own a node that's connected to it in order for them to be able to attack on this specific node, which means, I have one, which is this node here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other nodes that are connected. So I have a chance at 5 other guilds, because obviously if I'm taking this node, I own a node that's already connected to it. So there's potentially 5 other guilds. But as you can see here, this guild or this union actually owns many of the nodes connected to it, which means only 2 other guilds have a chance at even attacking this node. But yeah, so that's kind of how that works. Another big rule is if you own a node in any of the regions, you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot do node wars in another region. So if I own a Sylvia node, and yes, Sylvia is now has node wars, but if I own a node in Sylvia, I cannot attack any other guild. I cannot go for another node in Calpheon, Serendia, Balanos, Media, or Valencia. Siege is a different beast, regardless of where you own a node. As long as you qualify to go for Siege, you can go for Siege in the other regions. Speaking of Siege, let's go ahead and talk about the requirements. You have to own at least one tier 3 to tier 4 node in order to go for Siege, which means if you look here, tier 3 nodes, there are no tier 3 or tier 4 nodes in Balanosa Serendia. Basically, it's only tier 1 nodes in Balanosa and Serendia. So if you are going to be doing Siege, pretty much you cannot take nodes in Balanosa Serendia, because then you're locked to those and they're only tier 1 nodes. But yeah, okay. And I'll show you the tier 4 nodes right here, just to show you again, no nodes in Balanosa Serendia that are tier 3, tier 4. Okay, let's keep going. So let's go through the rest of the notes, make sure there's nothing else I missed. Participate. Okay, yeah, I did miss a big important thing. So now when you own multiple nodes, like for example, this guild here has multiple nodes, you will be able to every day when it's outside of node war time, you can designate one of your nodes as your central base or your main your main headquarters, right? What that means is whichever base or node you consider your main headquarters, you must, regardless of where you're attacking, regardless of what's happening, you have to defend it. If you lose your main base or your main headquarters, you will lose all other nodes that you own. So what that means is this guild here, if they own this node, if they set this node as their main base, that means if anybody tries to attack it that day, they must defend it. Even if they're attacking here, even if they weren't even going to node war, they still have to defend this with their life, because if somebody attacks it and they lose it, then they will lose all their other nodes. As you can see though, this specific node, all the surrounding nodes connected to it, pretty much they own, which means if they were to set this as their main base, they would have a few days of like pretty much kind of just of calm, or not necessarily calm, but like they would have a few days of like pretty much rest, or like they don't have to worry too much about defending it, because they own all the nodes that are connected to it, which means no guild can just straight up attack it. A guild would have to attack a node that's connected to it first, which means right now the main vulnerable ones are the starting point nodes, or this specific node here, because this guild, since they own this starting point, can expand into this area here, and if they take it, then they can go here. A way that you can win now, if you are a defending guild and you last 2 hours without your fort being destroyed, regardless of which node you're in, if your fort on said node lasts for 2 hours, excuse me, you will then be able, the node war will end, and you will actually have won the war because you didn't die. So I guess stall tactics in a way are kind of, I guess, more useful, or in a way, because now if instead of the node being liberated, you will pretty much continue to own the node. This helps in a way against like Zergers, pretty much, like, you know, if you own a node here, this starting point, or let's say you own this specific node here, and a lot of guilds want to attack it, and so you have, like, you know, you have a different guild in all these different areas. If you're able to hold out for 2 hours without these 4 guilds attacking, then you'd be safe, so to speak. You'd still continue to own the node. So that's kind of cool. Let's see. Continue the entire, okay, so the entire territory of that server, so the entire region, like in Kama Sylvia, on Kama Sylvia 1 and War Days, are now PvP. You obviously, safe zones are still safe, but outside of that, regardless of where you're at, you can die. If people can kill you, pretty much. If I own a node and even if, like, you know, if I own a node here and here, right, and then obviously I can attack in both areas, pretty much. Obviously you can still only attack one base at a time, regardless of whether or not you own a node or not. Existing concept of step will be maintained. A stronghold, okay. Making sure there's nothing I missed here before I continue to move on. Territory to sweep the base transfer, which was conducted and centering on a specific base selected for each day of the week, will now proceed in the territory unit. Oh yeah, so pretty much instead of nodes fighting on a specific day a week, now it's a region thing. So pretty much Mondays it's all Balanos, Tuesdays all Serindia and things like that. I'll go over the actual schedule in a little bit. After, so this is just saying, if you want to own a node, you first have to get a starting node, which I showed you with the little arrow pointing down on the notes. So these golden arrow pointing down, or upside down triangles, pretty much are starting nodes. So if you want to own a node, you must start with the starting node. You cannot jump into a node that's not a starting node. After you get it, you can extend your reach or power to other nodes that are connected to it. That's all that's saying. The entire territory of the server with a base battle in progress will be changed to PvP area. As in the past, non-participants in the base war may be attacked unilaterally by participants. However, safe areas are still excluded. So basically, this is just saying the entire area is a PvP area now. There's no safe areas outside of safe zones. So if you're not a participant, you can still be killed as long as if you're outside of a safe zone. If the stronghold of the defending guild occupying the base is not destroyed, so pretty much this is just saying what I was saying earlier. If the defending guild's base doesn't get destroyed after 2 hours, they win. The maximum number of points that a guild can occupy in a province is 10. So the maximum number of nodes you can own is 10. Regardless of whether or not you occupy the base, you can increase the base one at a time. This is just, you can only increase your nodes. You can only get one extra node at a time. So you can't just go and then just take like 5 nodes at once, of course. The existing concept of step will be maintained. So tiers of nodes, so tier 1, 2, 3, and 4 are still going to be there. In order to participate in Siege, you have to have a tier 3 or tier 4 node. I think I mentioned this earlier, but Balanos and Sharindia is all tier 1s now. You cannot get a tier 3 or tier 4 node in Balanos or Sharindia. So I'm going to show you tier 3 nodes, none in Balanos or Sharindia. Tier 4 nodes, none in Balanos and Sharindia. These nodes here are connected to Media. This node is connected to Media. So that means if you want to do Siege, you cannot take nodes in Balanos or Sharindia. They're all tier 1 nodes. Actually, let me make sure. I'm pretty sure they're all tier 1s. Yeah, no tier 2s either. I can't speak. No tier 2s either in Balanos or Sharindia. The ability to designate the center base of the occupied has been added. So I mentioned this earlier, your central base or your main base. You can designate whichever of the bases that you own, you can designate which one will be your main base. If you only own one node, obviously that's your main base. If you gain a second node, your second node will automatically be designated as your main base. You can technically change that. But if you only own 2 nodes, then I mean that just means your only other node is a starting node, which means a lot more people can go on that base. So it's probably safer to keep that second node as your main base. Something I didn't mention, and I don't think they mention it in the patch notes, so I'm just gonna kind of explain it. You don't have to keep your starting node once you own multiple other nodes, and you can designate another node as your main base, right? So if you look, this guild here has no starting nodes, but they still own these nodes because one of these are considered their main base, right? So obviously they started on a starting node, but as they expanded their territory, they kind of just said, we don't need the starting node anymore. So they let somebody else take it. So that is possible. You don't have to defend your starting node once you own other nodes, as long as the starting node is no longer your main base. 2 or more bases captured without having a node a central base, the most recently occupied. So once you own 2 bases, the most recently one becomes your central or your main base. Main base can be freely designated by the guild leader and the aide when the base war is not in progress. So outside of node war times is when you can designate which one will be your main base, and cannot be changed during the base war. So you can't change it obviously during node war time, but outside of that you can. You can use gather once for 10 minutes at the start of the base battle, and if you use it, you will move to the center base. However, if the central base is destroyed, it cannot be used. Obviously, if the central base is destroyed, you lose all your nodes, so that's why it can't be used. If you use gather up when there are less than 2 points being occupied, you will be moved to the stronghold of the base you own at construction, as constructed as before. So obviously, if you don't have 2 points, you only have 1 base, so you just go to that 1 base. When the central point is destroyed, all occupied strongholds are destroyed, and all occupied points are liberated. When 3 or more bases are occupied, fortress of the base connected to the center base is destroyed. So that's basically saying the same thing on these two. Pretty much, if you lose your main base, you lose all your other nodes. Maximum number of guilds affiliated buildings that can be installed before the base has been added. Oh, to my knowledge, I do want to mention this because to my knowledge, let's say these guys here, right? See how they have all these nodes that are connected, right? This node right here is connected to this node, and this node. If like if you own nodes, like okay, let's just look at this right here. See how these nodes are kind of like this. If you own all of if you were to own all of these nodes, but you lose, like let's say if you owned all these nodes, but you lost these two nodes right here. To my knowledge, my friend was telling me pretty much if you lost these two, you would lose this here node here too, because it's like no longer connected to all your other nodes. You would lose it, which means you have to make sure you're, even if it's not even your central base, you have to make sure your nodes are still connected to each other, kind of thing. So let me just like kind of give you a better idea of what I mean. With this stimping tool, so pretty much. I'm going to call this 1. So I'm going to call this 1, this 2, this 3, this 4, this 5. So if you own 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, right? But then you lose number 2. Technically, you'll still be fine because 3, 4, 5, and 1 are all connected. If you lose 3, then to my knowledge, that should mean you would lose 1 as well because it's no longer connected to the others. I'd have to do some testing. My guild has not, obviously my guild has not had that happen, but to my knowledge, that's what this statement here means. When I was asking my other friends, they were basically saying the same thing, but it hasn't happened to them yet, so they can't exactly say. But basically, they're saying, pretty much if you lose bases that are connected, then the isolated ones will be liberated. So pretty much if you lose bases that are connected, and like you have bases that are no longer connected to your main bases or your main base, then it'll be lost as well. So it kind of makes it to where one guild can't technically own all of the nodes in the area, but also you're limited to 10 nodes anyways. But yeah. Okay. The maximum number of guild affiliated buildings. So they increased the maximum number of like stuff that you can put on your in your forts. Is what this is saying. Also, this means right here, in case of guild affiliated buildings, number of construction is limited. After summoning a siege weapon from a base, it is possible to move to another base and use it strategically. So if you have a base in here, here, and here, right? If you have all these 3 points and you're fighting, you can if you have like an elephant or a cannon here that you created from the fort here, you can move it to these areas and continue using it for fighting. That's what that means basically. So if you have an elephant that you summoned it from this fort here, you can move it over down to this fort and use it still. This is just talking about the boundary lines that you can see. You can already see that, so you don't really need to talk about that. The filter. So this UI thing is on the upper right hand corner of the screen. I'll show you in game. It's right here. This first option, you can select it and it will pretty much show only your guild's forts. I took a break and started playing Allion for a bit, so I'm not in the guild currently. I'm going to be joining in the next couple weeks. I'm joining back up with all my friends. The second option here just tells you you can sort by the different node, the different tiers in the node. The fourth option, or the third option, sorry, I can't talk, or I can't even count, is pretty much by the day. And this right here just has it highlight all the different node areas. That's all that is. So that's how that UI works. Oh, obviously you can also choose like, Balano, Serenity. You can choose the different regions, the node war regions as well. Okay. So this is just explaining the UI a bit more. Pretty much the one with the little arrow is saying a starting point. If it's grayed out like the ones on the right, it means it's not occupied. Nobody owns it. If it has the blue on the left, like the ones on the left, it means somebody owns it. General base, so the ones that aren't starting points don't have the little yellow arrow pointing down on them. This UI allows you to know the status of the guild fortress during the base where it's been added. So it's just, you can see the status of the forts. This is the actual, I guess, this is the schedule for Node Wars. Mondays, you can do Balanos, Calpheon, Kama Sylvia. Tuesdays, you do Serendia, Media. Wednesdays, you do Calpheon, Valencia. Thursdays is Media, Balanos, and Kama Sylvia. Fridays Valencia Serendia, and Saturdays is Siege. Sunday you can do all the regions have node wars. So pretty much every region has 3 node wars a week. And you continue finding them the next week. Composition of bases for each province have been changed. So this is just saying, hey, we changed some of the nodes to be a specific node. All Balanos and Sharindia are now tier 1 nodes. And yeah, okay. So that's that. That's just talking about the nodes and what tiers they are. Keep going. Quite immediately. Okay, so they changed the way that tax says that you get tax. Instead of getting it the moment that you win the node, it's kind of different. After occupying the base, so after you own the node, tax is accumulated when the base is occupied. In 15 minutes, 5 minutes before the start of the next base. So pretty much 5 minutes before the start of the next node war in the same province. So after 3 days, you can collect the base. You can collect the tax. It's like 15 to 5 minutes. In between 15 to 5 minutes before the start of the next node war for that region, you can collect the tax. The number of shining honorable medals. So the honor medals has been changed in the amount that you get. For example, if a central stronghold, your main base is destroyed, all the strongholds are destroyed, a shining medal of honor is rewarded. When a guild occupying a tier 2 base newly captures a tier 4 base, 24 shining medals of honor that can be obtained when occupying tier 4 will be awarded. When 3 guilds attempt to capture a starting point of tier 3, when liberated, each guild's guild member receives 8 shining honorary medals. I can't speak. So basically, this is just showing tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, how many medals you get for a liberation, a victory, a defeat, and add. I'm not sure what the adding is for. So loot shop, that's one of the big things everyone's asking about. Loot shops. Pretty much there is a special loot shop once you own a node that you can talk to. He's a war merchant in Valia, Hydal, Calphion, Media, Valencia, Coma Sylvia, Drigan, Odalita. This has been changed a bit in terms of like when they're available and stuff. They've allowed to be able to use the loot shop at the end of all node wars that your guild belongs to. So whichever region your guild belongs to, once you guys finish the node war, you guys can use it. Guilds must own at least 1 node. I believe that's pretty much that's pretty much it. So pretty much you guys have like 24 hours every 2 to 3 days. So pretty much from the time that your node war ends, so your region's node war ends, if you guys look up top, you guys remember pretty much only certain regions happen on certain days. Let me see if I can scroll up to get that. Right here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday is Siege, and then Sunday is everybody. Pretty much, you guys have those days to be able to use the loot shop after that node war ends, before the next node war starts the next day. There's a few different things you can get in there. So there's a different NPC based off of the tiers of the nodes that you own. So if you only own tier 1 nodes, you can only use the NPC. That kind of just changes the items that you can get and whatnot. Loot shop available. The guild that won the base can be used by all guild members except for princess guild members. So if you're in a princess, so you just joined the guild, you can't use loot shop. I can't speak on war hero mercs because they have war heroes disabled for this entire thing. So I have no clue how any of this pertains to war heroes because they have it disabled. So pretty much if you own a tier 1 node, but your next node is a tier 2 or tier 3, whichever highest node that you own or you've won is the one that you're able to use. I'm looking to make sure there was no other ability to use loot shop even after losing your main base has been fixed, so it's no longer possible. So pretty much there was a bug at one point to where even if you lost your main central base, you were still able to use the loot shop. That's been fixed, so you can't do that anymore. Okay, so there's a few different things that they've added. Essence of Glory, Essence of Courage, Marnie's Unstable Fuel, Caphras Stone Box, 50. There's a limit to some of these, though. As you can see, the 50 Caphras Stones for 100 mil silver. You have to have a tier 2, tier 3, or tier 4 node to be able to buy this, but you can only buy one of those a day. Honorable tier 1 loot chest for obviously tier 1. So there's different loot chests for the different tiers. These are the prices. Again, only one a day. Marnie's Unstable Fuel costs 5 mil, and you can buy 5 of them max a day. Any node will get that. Tier 3 and tier 4, you can buy Essence of Courage. You can get 3 of them a day. Tier 1, tier 2, you can only get 2 Essence of Courages a day. Tier 3, tier 4, you can get Essence of Glory, and you can get 3 of a day. So these are the different things: loot scrolls, combat XP, the skill point XP, tiers. I'm pretty sure these are just tiers. That allows you to like res there instead of going to a node. Orange juice. So the juices, you can get 10 of them a day. And then massive pure magic, you can get 1 a day for 2 mil. So that's basically the box, or the NPC UI for the different things. And then let's keep going. So the loot scroll is the loot scroll that you can get here is a bonus drop rate scroll, and it's 10% bonus drop rate for an hour. EXP is 200%, and the skill points is 50%, all lasting an hour. So you can actually, there's a few things that you can get in here that is highlighted. That's kind of really, I guess like some of the more highlighted ones is you can get gold ingot boxes. You can get Splendid Destruction Spirit Stone Fragments, Splendid Guardian Spirit Stone Fragments that can be obtained. Pretty much you can use those to create Splendid Destruction Spirit Stones or Splendid Guardian Spirit Stones through simple alchemy. There's 3 new crystals: Honorable Glory Crystal Special Evasion, Honorable Glory Crystal Special Evasion, Honorable. So it's like Banwan Jin. I can show you guys them in game. Let's just show all the new crystals now. So the 2 that you can get, you can upgrade the regular crystals for your awakening weapon into these crystals here. Basically, they just add 1% attack cast speed. Everything else, the stats. Oh, also 2 bonus damage. So like the purple one gives you 2 bonus PvE damage. So instead of 5, it's 7. The red one is human damage, I believe. So instead of 5, it's 7. And you get 1% attack cast speed. But yeah, that's basically that. As you can see, they are sold out at 330 mil. 54 of these have been sold. There's 915 on buy order. And then the other is the special attack evasion ones. Pretty much there's like, I guess you can kind of consider like Banwan Jin. This one gives you 30 HP and 10% special attack evasion. This one here gives you 50 HP and 10% special attack evasion. And this one gives you 10% special attack evasion and 100 HP. So as you can see, these prices, 100 mil max is the max price, and 150 mil is the max price, and then 330 mil is the max price. Do I have this auto? Oh my gosh, I've been using this. But yeah, these are the crystals. The way you get them, you need the essences and Forest Fury, 10 magical fragments. You need the special attack evasion crystal and 100 armor stones to make the Banwan Jin version of these. So you need 10 Essence of Glories, and the maximum amount of Essence of Glories you can pretty much get every day is 3 from getting a tier 3, tier 4. I believe some of these are actually in the RNG boxes as well. So you could potentially get lucky there. Otherwise, you basically have to win multiple nodes to be able to get them. Alright. Crystal of Honorable Glory. You can obtain 1 shard of glory if you use the following materials. 20 glory fragments. 10 magic shards. Infinite magic crystal special evasion, and you get the true honorable glory crystal special evasion. Alright. 2 new crystals that can be produced through the essence of the vessel that can be purchased from the loot shop. Crystal of Honorable Courage Acrad crystals. So these are the crystals that I just showed you for your awakening weapon. This is how to get them. You need the essences that you get from the loot shop. Formula for producing these, blah blah blah, 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 blah. Shows you what the stats are on them. I guess you can get a life tonic for 3 shiny medals of honor. That's cool. Pretty much use Perfume of Courage with the life tonic, and you get 300 HP instead of 200 HP. Giant's Elixir with the life tonic will increase. Pretty much they add an extra 100 HP to these different elixirs. So the Spirit Perfume, the Calx, the Giant's Elixir, Elixir Deep Sea, they all get an extra 100 HP with the life tonic. Okay, so guild leaders and yeah, when you win tier 2 Node Wars or higher, you will have the ability to choose between one of these 6 items. There's a Black Star main hand, offhand. Sorry, not offhand. Whew. Black Star main hand, Awakening Weapon, or one of the Evil Spirit accessories. It's going to be a 7-day limited time item, and you can choose which one that you want when you win a tier 2 or higher base. Only for the guild leader. And if Siege as well. Siege as well. If you win Siege, you get it too. Now, there's another option that you get as well. When you win a tier 2 or higher base, or when you win Siege, you will receive a Resignation of Battlefield. And if you win Siege, you get the helmet and armor as well. But when you with this Resignation of Battlefield, you're able to purchase through the shop a either one of the Evil Spirit accessories or one of the Black Star weapon or Awakening Weapon box. Shies don't get Black Star versions. There's William's Artini Soul that they get. Same effect as the Pan Artini Soul. So it's a little different for the Artini Soul. But yeah, this is going to be 3 days though. When you make it this way, and when you make it with the thing you purchase via guild shop, it's only 3 days long. It says right here, 3 days after purchase, it expires. I'll show you that in game. So these are the Evil Spirit accessory. You combine it with the Resignation of Battlefield. And these two are the main hand and Awakening Weapon you can get as well. Again, combine it with the Resignation of Battlefield, and it lasts for 3 days. But when you win a Node War, you get one that lasts for 7 days. And for guild leaders, for Siege, if you win, you get a helmet and armor piece. These are the stats for the helmet and armor piece now. Instead of 19 to 25 DP with 50 to 100 HP and all that not so good stuff, you now get 90 DP, 210 HP, 10 and 10 monster damage reduction. Armor piece is instead of just 1,000 health, you get 108 DP, 360 HP, 100 mana, WP, SP stuff, and 13 damage reduction from monsters. That you can see the stats right here. It shows you your DR and your evasion on them, as you can see. And yeah, and it also has 2 crystal slots. Those last for 7 days as well. So that's pretty cool. All right. And that's basically it. So there were some bug fixes that I wanted to go over. Let's just pull up the patch notes. Pretty much they were just talking about some patch notes, some bug fixes. They changed a few things that happened on March 10th. They changed a certain some of the nodes a little bit over to different tiers. Still the same thing though. Balnearis is Serendia, still all tier 1s. Everywhere else you can get tier 2, tier 3, tier 4s. And then let's see, I think it's on this website or this page. Yeah, okay. So there was a bug, I guess people were able to put fortresses or build nodes or build forts right on the boundary, and it was counting as a fort for the other region that's next to it instead. So that got fixed. The ability to use the loot shop even after your main base has been main base was destroyed, that they fixed that as well. Allowed to be used loot shop at the end of all node wars that your guild belongs to. So yeah, so they've made it to where your guild, as long as your guild owns a node in a certain region, when that region is done, you can use the loot shop at that point. There's a current bug was that you had to be on the one channel, whichever region your guild owns. So Balnos 1, you had to be on Balnos 1 to use the loot shop. But they said they're going to be fixing that in the future. It doesn't look like they fixed it yet, but it will be getting fixed. So that's going to be fixed soon. So chances are you guys will, in AEU, will get it before or after that gets fixed. So you'll be able to use it regardless of what channel you're on. But I guess only time will tell. Receive Medals of Honor after all node wars your guild belongs to are over. So I guess there was a bug to where you weren't receiving Medals of Honor. Now you'll receive Medals of Honor after all the node wars your guild belongs to are over. And you'll also, the main node not being auto set once winning your second node has been fixed. So pretty much they have fixed it to where your main node will actually automatically get set after you win a second node. Hey guys, hope this helps. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments below, and I will answer them as best as I can.